Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things you love. It is Saturday afternoon. It's raining outside, so we're doing our Saturday update on what's happening at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club from the desk this morning. I hope you don't mind me if I ask you for 3 or 4 favors. Please smash the like button on the video like you always do. Hit the subscribe on the channel if you haven't already. Join the 13,400 or so people that have joined the channel thus far. Welcome back to them. Welcome to the new. Hit the notification bell and do leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this particular update. Guys, it is Saturday, the day after, the night before, where we were promised deadlines. We were promised closure on certain topics like the Harry Kane saga. Is it any real surprise that it all kind of fizzled out without a whimper, and we are still entirely unsure on what the go is, what the price is, what the realistic chances of it happening are? The entire summer, there has been one set of news, one set of reporters that are pushing one narrative, and an entirely different set of reporters that are entirely pushing another narrative. And I think as a Tottenham fan, it's very difficult to know where we stand. Are we spending Harry Kane's money? Are we looking at Gift Orban and the fella from Porto? Are we looking at these players, maybe Tapsoba, there's additional money? Is that coming from a pool of money that is expected to land into our pockets because of the Harry Kane sale? Well, a lot of us thought so, but yesterday there was a midnight deadline that passed, and essentially, according to reports, Bayern Munich once again had put their conditions on the trade. It's now or never, take it or leave it, and the bid was in total 103, 104 million pound package, 85 up front, 15, 16, 17 in add-ons. They were expecting a response from Daniel Levy. We were expecting a response from Daniel Levy, but according to reports, Daniel Levy hasn't responded. And then following that, at about 9 or 10 o'clock last night, reports emerged from, I guess, Heathrow Airport, maybe Gatwick Airport, that Daniel Levy had been spotted at a terminal boarding a flight to Miami. This morning, those stories have been somewhat confirmed by the German media that not only did Daniel Levy not respond, but also he has joined his family holiday for 2 weeks at a very odd time to be going away. I can't really get my head around whether it's true or not. I don't know what to believe. Let's just sort of recap on the different narratives that have been coming out around Harry Kane over the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. First and foremost, we're hearing that Harry Kane is open to any 3 of the options of signing a new contract, not signing a new contract and leaving at the end of next year, or not signing a new contract and being sold this summer. He himself hasn't come out and officially said anything at all. The German media have been pushing this narrative that Charlie Kane and his father, Harry Kane's father, had been in Germany negotiating, agreeing personal terms, that there had been secret barbecues. I say secret, but unofficial meetings at Harry Kane's house before the end of the season where everybody and their dog was invited, apart from Daniel Levy. He apparently was furious with these stories coming out from places like CF Bayern on Twitter. Christian Falk built the kind of Bayern Munich propaganda machine from the German media, telling everyone that it's a done deal, that Daniel Levy will be forced to sell Harry Kane if Harry Kane keeps his promise. Allegedly, Bayern Munich themselves have made 3 or 4 bids, all of which have been rejected or ignored. Daniel Levy hasn't apparently offered an actual number that Bayern Munich need to meet. And the story was yesterday, as I say, that £100 million, give or take, was on offer. Later on last night, there were actually stories, and Paul O'Keefe kind of got on board this narrative saying, actually, Tottenham Hotspur want a number far higher than that, far higher than 100 million, more like 130 or higher, to prize Harry Kane away this summer. There is an argument to understand why when you look at the precedents that have been set in the past with the likes of Eden Hazard going to Real Madrid. When he was in his final year of his contract, he was 29 years old and he went for 120 million. And you look in the very recent past, people like Mason Mount, who were also in the final year of their contract, going for around 70 million pound from Chelsea to Manchester United. When you put those relative valuations in, when you look at the market, the inflation in the market, you look at players like Mickey van der Ven that are going to cost Tottenham something like 50 million euros. When you look at Timo Livramento going to Newcastle for 40 million pound, that guy's played 2 years of football first team football and spent 18 months on the injury table. The levels of pricing right now are through the roof, and it leads you to make the assumption that if Daniel Levy is going to get value for money, he wants blood from a stone. He wants his pound of flesh, and that looks like apparently it's going to cost a lot more than Bayern at the moment are willing to offer. Bayern put the deadline on. Daniel Levy didn't respond. We all went live waiting for some news. No news emerged. And now we think that Daniel Levy is away in Miami with his family. It's all very strange. On a personal level, I really hope that's not true because we have so much more work to do at Tottenham. He doesn't need to necessarily be involved in the sort of minutiae of every deal. Gabonini's doing a wonderful job with his talent acquisition, his scouting. We're going to talk about Ash Phillips and what he looks like in a minute. He has been confirmed this morning. Tottenham Hotspur have put out their kind of media presentation, but there's still so much work to do. We've only got one player out of the club, one first-team player out of the club in Harry Winks. There's rumours that Ndombele might be going to Turkey for sort of 8 million. There's rumours that Pierre Mohoybier might be going to Atletico Madrid if they can find the money for around 30 million. But that's about it. There really isn't any other news around any of the players we need to find new homes for. We have a very bloated squad. Even if we were playing in Europe next season, we have too many players. We need to find new homes. And to think that Daniel Levy is away for 2 weeks when we have 2 friendlies coming up in the next 5 days. One of those is against Shakhtar Donetsk. And don't forget, the Shakhtar CEO was expecting to have a sit-down with Daniel Levy to discuss some sort of compensation for the transfer that happened that shouldn't have happened in the eyes of Shakhtar Donetsk of Manor Solomon into the club. Remember, they were using, or Tottenham were taking advantage of Annex 7 of the FIFA rules with regards players that are playing, international players playing for teams in countries that are at war or that have been invaded. Those players are allowed to leave those clubs for free. It's a very, I think, an unfair ruling on the football club that is the host of that player. It's not their fault. Not their fault. The country's at war. But those are the rules. Tottenham have taken advantage of it. The Shakhtar CEO was looking forward to a sit down with Daniel Levy. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Daniel Levy has decided to leave the country and go on holiday. But you know what? There's too much to do. So I'm not entirely sure I believe that story. Maybe he's gone away for a couple of days for a weekend. But the idea that he's gone away for 2 weeks is absolutely bonkers to me. But we will see. We will see. Talking about Gabonini, Ash Phillips has in fact spoken and done his initial press conferences with Tottenham Hotspur, or his sort of press presentation, if you like. I won't be able to play the audio for you, but you can see it on here. He's saying this is just the start. He wants to kick on. He's got massive ambitions for himself as a player, massive ambitions for his career. He's a strapping young lad, 6'4" at 18 years old. From what I've seen, he's very quick. He's very strong, very physical, and he's got a very kind of cool head on his shoulders for someone so young. How Tottenham are going to use this guy remains to be seen. I'm not entirely sure if he is going to be seen as someone that needs to be loaned out in order to get minutes, seen as someone to keep in the first team who's actually good enough, bearing in mind he's only played 8 games in the Championship. I say only. I actually think that's a very, very respectable return for someone of his age. Most players at 18 are not playing first-team football to that level. And to me, it is a really good sign and someone that we can look forward to, if not for the immediate future, then at least in the future, in the years to come. And I think that I've said this a few times now because I heard it. I'm stealing it from what Dave from the Irish Hotspur said, and Johnny reinforced on the live stream a couple of days ago, that Tottenham's youth system right now is starting to look like we could have our own version of a class of 92 coming through the ranks. We have, not only do we have the under-17 Premier League trophy winners of last season, the under-18 Premier League trophy winners of last season, so we have that depth. Yeah, players like Mikey Moore that I think are 15, just turning 16 years old, that are so highly sought after. Dorrington, Sunsop. We got so many young players that are coming. Jamie Donnelly as well, don't forget. But on top of that, we also have players that are slightly more ahead of their time and already breaking through to the first team. Pape Matar, very young. Destiny Udoji, very, very young. Mickey van der Ven isn't too much older. Even Kulusevski, right? He's still only 23, 24. These players are not that young, but you look at Ollie Skip as well. the future is bright. Our average age is looking for our squad is looking very healthy, as are other clubs. And I think that's a trend that's starting to emerge. You see Chelsea doing it right now, buying up every 18, 19-year-old talented youngster they can find. Manchester United, I believe, have also got an average age in their squad of about 23 years old. And so Tottenham really don't have an aging squad either, but it's great to see this youth coming through. With regards Ash Phillips, I don't know whether the plan is to keep him around the first team, whether or not it is to loan him out, to loan him back to Blackburn, to loan him somewhere else, or to just put him into the under-21s and let him sort of build some relationships with the likes of Dorrington. Time will tell on that one, but it's certainly something to look forward to. And as I say, I think that one of the things I'd love to see happening with our youth team is to actually see them try to mimic and replicate and play football in the same fashion, the same vein as our first team does. Because of our continuous transitions of managers in the first team, it hasn't really been possible to allow or to ask those two different systems, the youth team and the first team, to merge too much. Some of the best talent does get the opportunity to train with the first team occasionally. I would like to see a system, if we're going to go down this path with Ange Ball, hopefully it will work with him and he will have a long, successful career at Tottenham. But even if it doesn't, I think that now we've made this position and this pivot back to a front foot philosophy, a good, attractive football philosophy first, then every future manager should come in and play to the same ideology. And if you can consistently achieve that on the first team pitch and play with that theory, that thesis all the way through, regardless who the manager is, not only do you have efficiencies of scale there, not only do you have better synergies that you can build on and buy into. You're not having to continuously replace square pegs for round holes as you move from one minute managerial style to another. But on top of that, one of the other indirect benefits is that you can ask your youth team to learn to play the same way, knowing that they are going to ideally be generally brought through and merged into the first team. You can allow them, the two systems, to train together, play together, learn together, grow together. And if you look at the vast majority of the teams around Europe that have got very successful youth teams where they have a conveyor belt of talent coming through all the time, teams like Benfica, teams like Porto, teams like Ajax, Leipzig, Dortmund, they have that philosophy where their youth team plays and learns and trains the same way as their first team. And I think that consistency of the education can only benefit all parties. It's a win-win. So it'll be wonderful now that we seem to have made the transition to a system and a style of football that everyone would like to see at the football club. This will be the first in a long line of managerial successions that sticks to the same general principles. And that should also allow for our first team to benefit from the consistent thesis that is also implemented in the youth team. Guys, there's not really too much other news to get through today. Mickey van der Ven, he is flying over for his medical on Monday now. It was supposed to be today. It's now on Monday. So any hopes that you might have seen him on Sunday being brought out in front of the Shakhtar crowd, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. He certainly won't be able to play. Maybe it will also come too soon for him to be involved in Barcelona as well. So I guess the first time we'll see Mickey van der Ven may be against Brentford in the Cup. And that might even not necessarily happen because, in the league, Brentford in the league, because maybe he needs a bit of time to learn the specific requirements of that high line defense that we are going to be playing. So Mickey van der Ven, it seems like it's all done. It's not confirmed and official yet. The deal should be finished though by Monday at latest. The only other news to kind of bring to you guys is that there's still ongoing negotiations with Tottenham with Turkey, with a couple of Turkish clubs, to see if we can move on the story of Tanguy Ndombele onto somebody else's books on a permanent role. He looks like he's willing to leave and go and try to resurrect his career out there. It just comes down to personal term being agreed and also whether the clubs can find agreement. That will be a story that plays out over the next week or so. And lastly, but by no means least, AC Milan are set to try and beat Tottenham to the centre-back signing of Clement Longley. I don't know why the narrative in the media is that we are so desperate for Clement Longley. I think all Tottenham fans are singing from the same hymn sheet on this one when we say that it's really a last chance saloon. The only scenario where we'd like to have Clement Longley in is in a world where he's playing backup to Van der Ven, but we have also signed somebody like Tosin Adarabioyo or an Edmund Tapsoba who can also compete with Christian Romero, and that players like Sanchez and Rodon and Eric Dyer are out of the door. Clement Longley was the best centre-back for me last season, but he doesn't fit this system too great, especially without the ball. With the ball, maybe he'd be okay, but without the ball, I don't think he'll be a fantastic fit. And so this narrative that other clubs are trying to compete with Tottenham for the signature reads very strangely to me. I would rather hear that other clubs have come in and just made the deal happen, and that's fine with me. I don't really necessarily want to see him come to Tottenham in any scenario. The only scenario where I don't mind it is in the scenario I just played out. Guys, that's about it. There really isn't anything else to get through. Let's hope the Harry Kane saga, one way or another, is finalised over the next coming days. But with Daniel Levy seemingly unwilling to give any indication of how he stands, not responding to any of these messages, maybe he is just giving them a bit of their own medicine. He doesn't like the way that they have behaved. Maybe now he is standing firm and saying, you don't set the rules on this one, Bayern Munich. You've been appalling with your use of the media. And on that basis, when you say jump, I don't say how high. When you set deadlines, I break them. We are holding the cards in this one. We'll see how it turns out, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, bye-bye.